Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to today's video. I'm here with Shane. We're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna interview Shane. He is a very inspiring person, a very inspiring leader. He's an entrepreneur. He runs a very successful membership, helping people go raw vegan, cleanse their bodies, heal their bodies, and I'm also a member of his business mastermind. So it's an honor, my pleasure to have you, Shane, here with us.
Thank you, Fran, for having me here. I hope I can provide some inspiration and good information, juicy nuggets for the listener today.
So first of all, I know that in your videos you talk about leadership, and you are actually a very good leader. I would say you incarnate that energy. And my first question would be, what qualities do you believe are most important in a leader?
Well, the most important quality in a leader is someone who is enrolled in their vision. Because if we're not enrolled in our vision, then no one can be enrolled in us or what we're doing or what we're taking a stand for and the values that we're trying to bring to instigate change and healing for the world. So if we have a vision to heal the world, make the world a better place, then it's our responsibility to be really enrolled in ourselves. And when we're enrolled in ourselves, naturally, we become inspiring to others, and then they're going to be enrolled in us and our message. So we can't really instigate change or help people with anything unless we're enrolled in ourselves. And I'm not just talking about being enrolled in our goals or what we're trying to accomplish, but really our vision. Our vision is bigger than us, bigger than our lifetime. I think a really good vision comes from a spiritual thread, from our divine source. And it's our responsibility to then bring this message from the divine source. And that's our vision. And we each channel a different message and a different perspective. And that's why everybody's vision is slightly different. There's room for everyone to be an inspiring leader and to instigate change and help heal the planet and heal whatever their mission is, because our unique mission and vision comes from that divine thread. So it's very important for us to connect with that. So that's another critical value of a leader. An example of a leader is someone who's connected to that divine message that wants to come through them. And it's bigger than us. It has to be bigger than us and our lifetime. And if you look at all the great leaders throughout history, they all speak of a message that's much bigger than them. They're all working towards something that has lasting change to make humanity better and to move the needle one notch further on the scale of evolution. And that's what a leader does. So a leader isn't someone who's just, inspiring because they're out there on the soapbox, ringing the bell for their mission, but rather someone who is so deeply connected to that vision of the future that naturally people are going to be like, I want that future too. And then we bring people together because it's such a good mission. Now, God works through all of us in that way. If we have that connected vision, then it's really not our voice, not our message, but coming through us. We're a conduit. And therefore, we're going to be bringing that powerful future transformation through us, and then it's really not about us at all. And that's another thing about leaders is it's not about us, it's about others. It's about the world, the mission, the planet, the future, and I always think like my vision that I work with is really like a future vision. Like, where are we going to be in 10,000 years from now? I'm working on that. Like, I want to help humanity be better off in 10,000 years from now. And I will work today toward my vision of what our future could be like 10,000 years from now. I don't think most people have the exercise in their consciousness or in their brain or in their thought power to think that far ahead. But that would be another quality of a leader, is somebody who's thinking that far ahead beyond themselves to future generations, to the future of all life on Earth. so that we all have a better life. The animals, the plants, the trees, the earth itself, and of course, hopefully, humanity, if we don't kill ourselves first, we can have a better life in the future.
Amazing. Thank you for that answer. It's for all viewers here. If this is the first answer, you see how uplifting it is to listen to Shane. Thank you, Shane. What accomplishment in your leadership career are you most proud of, and why?
I would say that's building community. Building community requires that we create a culture that's valuable for each other. And I've done that with my group coaching program, Raw Vegan Heroes, which you're a member of, Fran. And thank you so much for contributing your awesome perspective and value to Raw Vegan Heroes. That's really what it's about. It's about everyone coming together and contributing in community. And then the power of community is that we get gifts back. We get something back from the community when we give something of value. It's a give and take relationship. So I've created the Raw Vegan Heroes community. We've had over 5,000 people join the community in the last 4 years, and it helps transform people's lives. People are in there reversing significant health problems, tumors, regrowing hair, losing weight, getting that 2.0 upgrade to their life. And so it's really inspiring to see people going through healing transformations, but the contribution, the willingness of all the other members to chime in, to help, to support, that's inspiring. And I'm really proud that I've been able to be the catalyst of a community that's bigger than me, and that's about all the members coming together supporting each other. That's really cool, and it makes me feel very honored to be part of it. And again, that was my vision from the beginning, though, was to create a community that transcended me as the leader, really becoming its own entity that had a life of its own. That's what I wanted. I wanted Raw Vegan Heroes to have a life of its own, and for it to be amazing, and for everyone to come and get value, and to be able to contribute and get value. So somebody asked me the other day, if I join Raw Vegan Heroes, what will I get out of it? That was their question. What will I get from it? And my answer to that was, you're going to get community. And they said, well, I have many years of experience being raw vegan and with detox. I've been raw for 8 years, and I have extensive knowledge and experience with detoxification. So what will I get from the community that I don't already have? And my answer was community, because people are in the community needing help. There's people that need help right now who are not experienced with detox, who have not been raw vegan for 8 years, and they want that. So I said, you come into the community and you offer your experience and your expertise, and you will get gifts in return that come from the community that I can't even predict what those gifts will be. Maybe a connection with someone, maybe a friendship, maybe a network connection. You don't know. We don't know. God works through people. God works through the connection of people. And I always say connection is currency. Connection is the premium currency in today's world. And if we can create connection, we will be wealthy. So I'm very proud of Raw Vegan Heroes for being that community. And it creates connection for so many people, and it provides value for so many people, and it provides a place for others to share and help and bring their expertise. And that can't be underestimated, because there's a deep human need, a drive inside of each one of us to contribute something valuable to others. And if we're just sitting on the sidelines saying, hey, I'm all fixed and healed over here, I've been raw vegan for 8 years and have lots of healing experience, well, that's great for you. But what about the other people who are struggling? What about all the weakest links in the chain? We're only as strong as them. We need to get out of our own way, get off of our butts, and do everything we can to be of value and service to others. That allows us to have, that's where the gifts are. That's what we get out of community. So, yes, indeed. I hope that's helpful.
Can you share a specific moment of your career or life where your leadership made a significant growth? Do you have that memory?
Yeah, very specific time. I would have to say the biggest leap forward in my leadership was actually when I did a leadership training program. And it was a leadership training program for entrepreneurs, specifically to help entrepreneurs make a bigger difference for other people, provide more value, get out of their own way. And I went into it thinking it was going to be a series of trainings and things like this, but it was not. It was a 10-day program that broke me down. It tore me down to the very foundation and the roots and the core of who I am and believed I was, and then built me back up. And it was a 10-day process that was the most excruciating, horrendous, gut wrenching experience of my life. It was literally one of the hardest, worst 10 days of my life to go through that. And it was being led by a very powerful entrepreneur who I look up to, who was my coach for many years. And I trusted my coach enough to take the program upon her recommendation. And it was an expensive program. So not only did I reluctantly take this program because I didn't want to invest the 10 days and take it off work and all this, it was very inconvenient, but it was $5,000 to take the program. So I had to pay the $5,000 and take time off work and prioritize getting babysitters for the kids and the whole shebang for me to do this 10-day immersive retreat style transformation experience. And what it was really showing me how selfish I am my whole life, just how focused on myself I've been my whole life. And that I'm just, it showed me. It was very triggering. For one, the first 3 days are called vision, and the last 4 days are called breakthrough. And then there's a 2-day break in between. So the first 3 days left me. At the end of the first 3 days, I was very, very triggered, physically triggered in my body that I had no control over. I felt like I was red in the face for days on end, like heated, like traumas had been triggered. And so me and my wife at the time got into really heated arguments because I was in this incredibly fight or flight. So the journey that I went on and the practices and the techniques that we were going through was deeply touching in on all of these layers I had built up and belief systems I had built up around who I was, and all of it was being challenged. All of it, all of my identity was being challenged, and I felt like I was like furious and enraged. I was very angry. And then in the process, I found the truth, which is that I just am here to serve others. I'm not here for myself, really. So that was a big takeaway. It's very hard to describe the program because if you don't go through the exercises, it's almost meaningless to talk about. But these are psychological exercises that you're led through, and there's no way to reproduce that. So for someone who's looking for major breakthrough in leadership, I would say that we need powerful, experienced facilitators to lead us through shadow work type psychological exercises, because the ego really, really holds on to belief systems and identity like for dear life. It doesn't want to let go, and it has to be forced to let go through a series of deeper and deeper processes that break down the psyche, break down the ego. And it's very uncomfortable and uncomfortable and horrible to go through, really. But then you can free yourself from these constructs that limit you and hold you back. So I always say this to clients and people I work with is if we could have become the person we've always wanted to be, we would have already. The reason we aren't successful millionaires, like healed, whatever the version of the incredible relationships, the money, the health, the service businesses that we want, and why we don't have those is because we're dealing with these psychological blocks. And if we don't have help getting past it, then we're going to continue to play out the same patterns our whole life. So we need to work with experienced facilitators. Now, in my work today, I've incorporated everything I've learned from those exercises and that platform that I went through years ago. And I have integrated all of that into the work that I do with my clients. So if anyone is working with me, so when you hear my live streams in Raw Vegan Heroes, I do a weekly live stream, or you're working with me in my business mastermind training program, I'm implementing some of the psychological trainings and some of the psychological exercises that I have learned over the years. So it's powerful. We need facilitators. And this is why I highly recommend mentorship as the number one key for breakthrough.
mm,
because if we could have done it on our own already, we would have. We need to invest in a mentor. In fact, there could be no better next step for anybody listening to get you where you want to go in life, no matter what the next step is for you, no matter what your dream and hope of your life is. The best next step is to invest in a mentor who can get you there. Paid money. You got to pay money for a mentor because you have to actually invest your skin in the game and your sweat equity and your hard earned dollar. You have to put that in to get value out. So
mm,
you actually want to look for a mentor who you can trust, who you like, who's charging money for their programs. It has to be paid mentorship and leadership training programs. Otherwise, there's just no way we're ever going to get to the level we want in life. There's just no way. We can't do it on our own. We're
mm.
not designed to do it on our own. Nobody ever did it on our own. So mentorship is key. And this is why today, Fran, I go out of my way and I work diligently every day of my life to offer my programs and run these programs that help people have breakthroughs because I know how powerful it is. So I'm a servant. That's all I'm doing. I'm just a servant
Mm.
to help facilitate other people's transformations and breakthroughs.
Thank you. And yes, it's interesting because people now see the version of you now, but probably are not aware of all the journey that you had to walk to get to this point of your leadership. And connecting that, this last question about leadership topic is, in your everyday life, you still get surprised about yourself.
That's an interesting question. I like these questions, Fran. Um, I mean, I'm surprised that I get to thrive eating raw living foods every day. That's really cool. And I'm so honored and surprised by how amazing it is every day. I had my first really massive spiritual awakening when I was 17 years old and I decided to go plant based. It was a really big spiritual awakening and I knew I had to contribute something. When I look back now, if I could nutshell what the spiritual awakening was for me as a teenager, it was that you have to contribute. And I looked at the problems in the world that I was aware of and factory farming and eating animals on the mass scale that we were doing it I could see that as a problem. So I said, I'm going to contribute by learning about a plant-based diet. That was one. And so that was a huge awakening. And that awakening is still unfolding in my life today. I'm 51 years old, 34 years later, and I'm still a student of how to be in service of that problem on the planet and how to improve that. So I'm astounded by that every day that I'm still a
Mm,
student. I'm still in service to the very first spiritual epiphany I ever had in my, adult awakened life. So that's pretty cool.
mm, that is very cool. Thank you for sharing. And do you think that working with people in their personal development area, personal growth, will will do the dominoes to make them go vegan, or not necessarily? Like, do you have to work on that niche of veganism or raw veganism, or maybe just helping them become more aware of themselves, helping them heal their wounds, that will help towards the purpose of veganism?
Well, all spiritual leaders throughout time have practiced a plant based diet or talked about the importance of a plant based diet. It's the spiritual diet. I mean, it cleanses the body and the cells in a way where we have a clearer access to the divine source. And so eating clean and cleansing and purifying the body is just an essential tool to have a more aligned spiritual life. And so yes, I think it's important to put it all into a package and a picture
Mm,
for people to understand what the evolutionary journey is.
mm,
And if we aren't called to work on that higher level, then yeah, I think we can work in the steps. But ultimately, if we look at the big picture and we look at where the steps are going, we're looking at the evolutionary progress of humanity, which is going to include a plant-based diet over
mm,
time. We're not going to spiritually progress over thousands of years by eating more and more animals. That's
mm,
not going to happen like that. I just can't see that unfolding under any circumstance. So for me, um, working to educate people on a plant-based diet and practicing the highest levels of plant-based nutrition for myself, which is 100% raw vegan, then that's me walking the talk. That's me living the lifestyle that then I can disseminate down the knowledge and the wisdom of years and years of practicing it. So I think that it's everybody's at a different level, but we have to be connected to our vision. My vision happens to be one of a plant-based future,
Mm,
a kinder, more benevolent future where humans strive to be kind and create a more harmonious place for all life to live. So every human on the planet feels responsible for every consciousness on the planet. So we couldn't ever eat a cow because we would feel like that was cannibalism, like we're
mm,
eating our relative. We're responsible for our aunt and our uncle or our sister and our brother, and we're just as responsible for the cow and the pig or the chicken or any other consciousness or life form on this planet. That's where I see humanity evolving to, and that's my vision. So I'm going to work toward that vision diligently every single day, which includes that full spectrum picture. But everybody's got a different vision, right? And so I think it's important for us as leaders and educators, coaches, to get really, really connected with our vision. And to be honest, I think the more pure our body is, the more pure our vision's going to be.
mm,
So it behooves us to cleanse and purify and detox our own body with raw foods and fasting and cleansing protocols to have a clearer vision come to us, you
mm,
know? And it wasn't actually until I did my first 40-day juice fast, Fran, where I knew that I actually had to get more in the trenches, more involved with this healing plant-based mission. Prior to the age 44, because at 44 was when I did my first 40-day juice fast.
mhm,
Prior to that, I wasn't as in it or committed. I was plant based for many years and I knew the benefits, but I didn't turn it into my mission work until
mm,
I did the cleanse. And then the cleanse made me feel that interconnectedness with everything. And I was like, wow, I have to bring this message to
mm,
other people. I have to help other people with this level of detoxification of their body.
mm,
So I think that's why if we go on the journey ourselves, it will show us the path. And
mm,
I often say this in all of my YouTube videos that I make. We don't have to know where to start. We don't have to have an idea of who we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to do. We want to start with a 40-day juice fast, like I did. Start with cellular cleansing and detoxification of the body, and you're going to be shown a path that's perfect
mm.
for you. And you could have your mission come to you. You could have spiritual epiphanies, spiritual awakenings. You could see a whole new life trajectory unfold for you. And I think that's what happened. I think it's very common for people, and
Mm.
it certainly happened to me.
Yes, totally. Every time I do a cleanse, I receive divine guidance. It's so easy to receive it.
Yeah, amazing.
So you just mentioned your YouTube videos. Do you do some type of preparation before going live or recording a YouTube video, like a meditation, or you close your eyes, you breathe a little bit, you do an affirmations?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I prepare for my YouTube videos all week. Actually, to be honest, every single day I live is a preparation for my YouTube video. So if I record my YouTube video on a Tuesday, I'm preparing for that Tuesday on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I'm living the lifestyle on the weekend, eating raw vegan, refraining from drinking alcohol or recreational plant medicines or whatever people do,
Mm-hmm,
in
mm-hmm,
order to be exceptionally clear and focused and on purpose for when I do sit down and record my YouTube videos. So I'm a really clear conduit for a message that's bigger than me.
mm-hmm,
So I literally, I don't just prepare on the day of the video. I prepare constantly. I'm living in a state of preparedness, which is kind of extreme in a way, but it gives me something to live for. It gives me a purpose and a reason to live. And I think a lot of people are lacking that in their life. And I think that it would help a lot of people to have such a structured path and focus for their life. So I go
mm-hmm,
to the gym, 5 days a week in preparation of being that person when I am on camera, also with my clients when I'm on camera. So it's not just my YouTube videos, it's my live stream and my Zoom meeting with my business clients. So I'm at that level, and I can really be that clear conduit. So for me, I live the lifestyle, I walk the talk, and it gives me a will to live and a
mm,
drive and a purpose bigger than myself. So
mm,
it's hard, but it's the easiest of all the hards.
mm,
Because
mm,
being a slacker, having no vision, that's hard too.
mm,
Having no life purpose or working a job for somebody else that's meaningless, that's hard too. Or
mm,
not having enough money because you haven't applied yourself to learn how to
mm,
provide value to others, that's hard.
mm,
You know, Being unhealthy or sick or overweight, that's hard.
mm.
So for me, living a disciplined, structured life that takes me into exceptional levels of discipline is hard, but to me, it's the least of the hards.
You made me remember once my first spiritual teacher 15 years ago, she would charge her healing sessions very good. And one time, one client to her said, "Wow, you charge all that for just 1 hour?" Like kind of criticizing a little bit or judging her. And she answered, "I charge that, but I'm preparing for myself. I work 24/7 for that moment." And it's what you just said. It's a
Yeah.
constant preparation so you can reach that level and, yeah, deliver. So, do you sometimes feel disempowered? Does that feeling show up sometimes in your life?
Yes. Yes, it does. Every day, in fact, Fran, every day. I'm battling self consciousness, self doubt, anxiety, about the world and
Mm,
fears just as much as anybody else. I
mm,
don't think those things go away as we achieve higher levels of self-discipline and self-realization either even. It's not that those go away, it's that you find ways to coexist with them where they
mm,
don't affect you negatively.
mm,
Because those conditions, like let's just call it fear, anxiety and self-doubt, those conditions are a part of the human experience. But it doesn't have to take us down. It doesn't have to drag us down. It doesn't have to be the reason we give up and fail. So, what we want to do instead of eliminating self doubt or fear or anxiety is learn how to live with it in a productive way. That's how I look at it. So,
mm,
I can use my fear and doubt and insecurity as a driver to be more disciplined or to be in better physical fitness shape or to eat raw vegan when I don't feel like it or if it would be easier to have cooked food. I use that um, as a reason. So I've learned to cohabitate with fear and anxiety and depression and all of the things that we struggle with as humans. And I think as we grow, the problems grow with us. And I don't think most people realize that there's not like a hurdle and we have to figure out how to get over the hurdle and then we're done. I think as we get over a hurdle, then the next hurdle is bigger.
mm,
And so we're on a constant journey to deeper levels of puzzles and struggles to figure out how to thrive in spite of the challenges. And at
mm,
the level I'm at, now at my life, boy, my struggles and my daily challenges mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually are the biggest they've ever been in my life now.
mm,
And I think back about who I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago and how much easier my life was then, because I didn't concern myself with such deep existential questions.
mm,
But I wouldn't replace it for anything in the world because I have deeper purpose and I have deeper mission and I have a deeper responsibility and I'm contributing way more and I have much more results to show for it. I make more money. I have more successful business in terms of like my community, like I was talking about. I'm more effective. So
mm,
the results speak for itself.
mm,
And I think of it now as like, do I want to be somebody with my head in the sand? Like, am I like the ostrich who just wants to bury his head in the sand out of fear? Or am I going to face it all and take it on and let the challenges come and the barrage of life's existential crisis just come. That's what I say. Let it come. Bring it on.
We know what choice you made.
Yeah.
We know. So, how do you handle sadness?
Sadness. Well, I have learned to not make up stories about how I feel. This is one of the things I've learned as a leader, Fran, over the years, is that I don't make up stories where my ego wants to make up stories about how I feel. Whether I feel like doing something or not doing something, whether I feel sad, whether I feel happy. To me now, it's more about what results I want. Do I want to be productive this day, or do I want to take the day off and not think about anything, or what do I want for my day? And it will live that. So how I feel is irrelevant a lot of the time, actually, these
Mm,
days for me. So sadness is a state that I might feel, but I don't let the feeling determine what I do or how I act.
mm,
So it's like any emotion, it washes over you. And there might be a moment where it's uncomfortable, and
mm,
maybe the moment lasts for even a whole day, or maybe the moment lasts for a month, but it's
mm,
still going to wash over you. And if you can sit with it and accept it and not let it affect what you do or how you act, then you've mastered it. You've mastered
mm,
yourself. So I
mm,
feel sadness just like everybody else does, but I don't let that stop me,
mm. Yeah.
you know? And so I think about like I'm cohabitating with it. Okay,
Mm,
the sadness is there. I feel it. And sometimes I have to let it like be there fully,
mm,
and really feel it. But again, it's not something that I make up a story about it. I'm not like, I don't say anymore now in my life. I don't say I'm sad. I might say I'm feeling sadness, but this is a temporary state that will pass, kind of like
yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. It's you deal with it a little bit like what Eckhart Tolle talks about, not creating the story and just allowing the energy until it gets released and changes.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing is actually when you accept the energy, like a sadness as an example, if once you like fully accept it and let it wash over
Mm,
you, it actually will dissipate it
mm,
and it will move through your body. It can be uncomfortable to practice that at first, but if as you practice it, you can just let it fully be there and it
mm,
fully takes you over and it's uncomfortable and then it moves. If we
mm,
try to resist it, then it will persist. What
mm.
we resist will persist. So resisting
Yeah.
sadness, resisting fear or anxieties of life, the existential crisis of life will only make it worse.
Yeah. What you feel, you heal.
Exactly. That is right.
Have you done inner child healing in your journey?
Yes, yes. It's part of the shadow work that
Yeah.
I do. I think shadow work is really about integrating parts of self.
Mm,
And so I've spent a lot of time. In fact, the leadership training that I was talking about earlier was largely about inner child healing through these psychological steps that we were taken through by the facilitator. And we were taken back in regressive type hypnosis type states to
mhm,
childhood and being present with
mhm,
situations in our childhood again with our conscious mind, our conscious presence. And so that is profound work to do, very
mm,
profound, very healing to do. Not only that, but I've studied shadow work. I would say Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford is a great simplified book on parts of self and how to integrate abandoned parts of self or parts of ourselves that we've deemed unlovable or unworthy. And these fragments happen in childhood oftentimes. So if we're going to fully integrate the unloved parts of ourselves, we often have to go back and do inner child
mm.
regressive type
Yeah.
healing work. It's part of leadership.
Yes. Indeed. Indeed. So you've advanced a lot in your journey, and you mentioned that sometimes fear or anxiety appear and you don't create a story. But does also the imposter syndrome appear, or you already created a strong belief of yourself that you have the authority to speak your message, or does it sometimes still appear even if you don't believe it?
Yeah, the imposter syndrome is a regular thing that I deal with. It is there. Yes.
Mm,
Every day.
okay.
For me, I put myself out there, I speak my
Yeah.
message. But what I do is I remind myself of who I am. I
Mm,
remind myself of where I come from, how far I've come, the special things that are really unique to me, like special objects or trinkets that I've acquired throughout my life, or memories that I have, or great wins or triumphs that I've accomplished in my life. And I remind myself of these things. And I often do this practice before recording a YouTube video. This is one thing that I do. I'll remind myself of who I am and say, I am magnificent. I have achieved great success. People need to hear what I've experienced. They need to hear this message. And I pump myself up that I have something really valuable to share. So when I come on the camera and I speak, I'm coming from a place of really valuing myself, really believing in myself. Because and then often, so that's I get into state for that, right? And I have to often quiet my monkey mind, my ego mind, to get into that state. And then after I'm done, it comes flooding back and the imposter syndrome tries to take over again. And so that's what I call the fraud complex. So after I upload a YouTube video and release it to the public, that's when the fraud complex kicks in the most for me, because I'm not in a state. I haven't gotten my mind and body in state. So I am just dealing with that feeling of like, people can judge me, people can,
yeah.
you know, come
Yeah.
at me with hate and contradiction and all this stuff that we fear, right? So that's when the fraud complex comes in for me. But again, Fran, I've been doing this for many years, and so I don't let it stop me. I might feel the fraud complex or the imposter syndrome very strong for a few hours or maybe a
Mm,
day or maybe even a few days, depending.
mm,
Sometimes I'll feel it for days after I release significant videos or whatnot, or in
mm,
the work I do. And I just don't let it affect me anymore. I don't let it stop me. I don't make up stories about it. And I certainly don't give it any of my power. But it might be there and I might have to acknowledge it. Oh, like I'm really feeling the fraud complex today. But that's as far as it goes. I'll acknowledge it and just sit with it and let it be there, because it's something that obviously needs to work through. And so, over the years, I think I've just gotten better at that level of self mastery with it.
mm. You totally have it, that mastery. And in my case, I feel that I can do YouTube video, I can share my message, but there is still some message that I still haven't released from my soul, probably because of the fear of what others will think and judgment and all that aspect. Because I think it's a little bit harsh, maybe that message. So maybe
Oh,
I have.
so you're judging yourself. So you're judging yourself that your message is too harsh to be received.
Yes,
So it's not
very
your
good.
place. It's not your place to judge yourself or anyone else.
Exactly. True that. True that.
So
Thank
so
you for
Fran,
that,
that's the
Jen.
work though, is to not judge ourselves, to say, I have something valuable to bring, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. I'm going
Mm,
to speak my truth and let it be messy and let it be horribly uncomfortable and let the chips fall where they may because of it. There is a Hail Mary pass kind of a feeling in that. There's like a kind of like throw caution to the wind
mm.
feeling. And that's exactly what it feels like. So you have to practice that. Throw caution to the wind, let it fly.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I
You
will.
can't hold back, Fran. I mean, you're not doing anybody any favors on this earth if you're holding back from that.
Yes, true that. True that. That's a very important phrase to listen and to remember ourselves. And also the worst case is that you delete the video, right? But you can
Right? You never even have to upload it. It's an
exactly.
exercise in your own consciousness.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
you know what it is? It's an exercise in bringing the conduit through you. That's what
Ex-
it is.
that's deep. That's deep. You always bring this level of deepness about the spiritual realm and how we are channels, right? And conduits, and there's something deeper and more spiritual that wants to express through ourselves. That's
Yeah, and maybe the depth and the conduit, the message that needs to come through you or anyone has to break through with messiness and anger and intensity to have the breakthrough, right?
mm,
So you can't judge yourself because what it takes to get to unblock the dam, you know, is going to be different than a year later when the conduit is open and flowing and the message can be more beautiful and sensitive and thoughtful.
mm,
It's all of it. It needs to be intense and ugly and harsh, and that's going to morph into the more subtle nature of your message, you know, and you need to
mm.
hold space for all of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I've noticed this, and I've heard other people mention it to you that you've shifted your energy in your YouTube videos. Like you speak with more authority, I would say. So I was practicing that, and it's not only just believing, like, yes, I have the authority. What you accomplished, from my perspective, is you embody it. Like your energy speaks with more confidence and authority. It's not only that you're trying to talk from that space, you actually embodied it. Do you have something to comment about that?
I think that's a good observation. Yes. I think it's a willingness to help. And I think because I'm so willing to help, that what I'm speaking is from my truth, because I can only help from my truth. I can't help from my mind. I have to help from my experience, what I've learned, what I know, my authority, who I am at a core level. And so when I speak from that core level, then it's from the body, it's from the embodiment. So I'm speaking from the embodiment. And I will say, Fran, that I've practiced this, speaking from the body rather than the mind. This
Mm,
was one of the this was one of the exercises we did in my leadership training that I've talked about now a couple times. Is practicing getting out of the mental and into the body, like so from the mind into the heart. As an example,
mhm.
speaking from the heart. How do you speak from the heart, where people can feel the heart, and it's obviously not in the mind? How do you do that? You have to practice it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, one of the last questions that I was going to ask you is, what practice would you recommend for someone trying to develop their inner power and their authority? So I think maybe you already answered it. To talk from the heart, that would be.
Absolutely. Yeah, speak from the heart. So it takes practice to get into that seat of authority. We have to do it, and we have to do it wrong a lot of times. And we have to be in our head and say, no, that didn't work. I'm too in my head. How do I get into my heart? Then we have to practice. Well, how can I speak from the heart? You have to talk about things that are really from your heart. And then it changes what you're going to talk about. And it changes um, why you're talking about it. Say you're a coach and you want to talk about your detox program, or you want to talk about your knowledge about detox, but maybe that's too in your head and you haven't actually learned how to speak from the heart, which is actually maybe childhood trauma or abandonment, or like the issues that arise from years of abandonment trauma patterns in our body, or things like that, or drug addiction that we've gotten into because we had abandonment trauma. Like, so you're talking about detox, which is in the mind, but are we talking about the roots of why do we need to detox in the first place? Where does all this pain and addiction come from? So then it changes what we're talking about to get into the heart you know
Ah, that teaching you just gave is very valuable, Shane. Very valuable. And so many YouTubers can benefit of this because we might have ideas of things that are important for us, right? The topics, things that we want to share. But if we start shifting to this, to start talking from here, it's a different message completely.
It's a different message. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably the ideal thing would be combining both. At the end, once we master this, you can add a little bit of structure, maybe, of the mind. What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Every YouTube video I do is structured in a way that allows me to get into my heart space and speak
Right.
from my body wisdom. And my topics cover that. But then there's areas where, I need to talk about other things. And so I
Yeah.
structure my videos so where I always allow myself the space to get into that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shane. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Fran.
I enjoyed a lot. You have so much value to give, and you raise consciousness with every word you speak, and you're a great leader. I look at you like an example, role model. Thank you, and I hope all the viewers enjoy this conversation, and have a beautiful rest of your day, my friend.
Thank you. Goodbye.